One day after school, I was reading a book called How to Get Better at Math. I loved reading. I read for 3 hours before my dad came in. Yes, I mumbled. You left my bedroom lights on again, my dad yelled angrily. Honestly, I actually don't care at this point. And it's not my fault that my speaker was in there charging and I wanted to listen to music before I did my homework, which is reading, I said as I raised my voice. I threw my book to the floor. Turn them off now, my dad said to me and left. As soon as I heard the door click, I leapt out of my bed, snatched my book from the floor, and ran out into my mom's vegetable patch. I sat down by the fence and continued to read. It was 2 hours until my dad found out that I was not going to turn off the lights in his bedroom. I wish that my dad would stop making a big deal. It's not like one light is going to change the world. That night, my wish came true. My bed traveled to the future. I awoke to the sound, whoosh, whoosh. What is that sound, I thought. When I slowly opened my eyes, I was surprised to see 5 fishermen dancing on the shoreline. What's the celebration for? I asked. Second fish this week, one of them replied. Wow, only 2 this week? And why only 2 this week? I asked urgently because I was very curious on why they had only caught 2 fish in the past week. It's because of acidification. It has warmed up our oceans and the fish want to be in colder waters, they explained. Now we can't get as many fish as we used to, like 20 fish per week considering there are 57 weeks in a year. How many would we get? A man that was still dancing said. Don't you think we're pretty lucky to catch another fish this week? I actually don't live here, I said quickly. Later that day, I was falling asleep. I got one of the fishermen called out as I was trying to sleep. Later, I almost fell asleep again. I could only hear the sound of my own breathing and the fishermen laughing over jokes that they were telling each other. I awoke to the sea, soaking my bed. Ugh! Now I'm all wet and gross, I moaned in disgust. Well, you're lucky that you don't live here, then, a man walking along the shoreline said to me. He slowly rolled up his pant legs to walk through the mucky waters. Where am I? I asked, hoping for no response, because I knew I would freak out. You're on one of the 19 Gilbert Islands, called the Kittitas Islands. I'm far away from home, I belted. I jumped out of my bed, but immediately jumped back in my bed because of the cold, mucky, horrible, and disgusting water. Cold water, the man said. Sure, it is cold. He ignored me and looked into the distance. The high tide and low tide have destroyed our seawalls and gets onto our wonderful lands. And our seawalls take months to make. How do tides happen? I asked in disbelief. I knew that the land was and homes were being destroyed, but I didn't know that they were being destroyed this badly. The tide happens when the full moon's ray hits the ocean and the water curves, he said. Then the man left. I was kind of sad that the Kittitas man left me all alone. I was able to sleep, though. I awoke and I was in the safety of my own room. When I went down to breakfast, I noticed that all the house lights were on. The curtains were also open. I ran around the house and turned off all the lights. I made sure that the curtains were all open. I made these changes because I did not like the future that I saw on the Kittitas Islands. It was not a good future for the kids that will live on the Kittitas Islands in the years to come.